guys, John V from PhoneArena here. You're watching our video comparison between the Google Nexus 6 and the Samsung Galaxy S5. Throughout the year, there have been no shortage of high-end, memorable smartphones. They just simply keep on coming. The Galaxy S5 continues to be a relevant thing in the space, even though it's regarded by many as an older handset. There's still a steady momentum that accompanies Samsung's flagship, which it needs in order to fend off the heavy competition from the just-arrived Google Nexus 6. Plastic, there's nothing premium about it, but in this particular scenario, we prefer the Nexus 6 design. It just has a more pronounced and mature design language, and it's sturdier with its construction too. On the flip side, the compact size and water-resistant construction of the Galaxy S5 are things worth remembering too. Now, the Nexus 6 isn't about the bells and whistles, but we do like that it features dual front-firing speakers. As for the Galaxy S5, we know it's a Swiss Army knife of smartphones, seeing that it bears things like a fingerprint sensor, IR blaster, micro SD card slot, and even a removable battery. Both employ AMOLED technology, but the Quad HD resolution of the Nexus 6 is just a sight to behold. From afar, it's tough to notice any difference in terms of details between them, but it becomes painstakingly obvious upon closer inspection that Nexus 6 can't be matched. 1080p is good, but Quad HD is just simply better. Now, seeing that they have AMOLED technology, the two displays bear pretty much the same qualities, like their wide viewing angles, their deep black color production, and their overly saturated color tones. Strangely though, not all AMOLEDs are made the same, since the Galaxy S5 has a distinct advantage with its 442 nit brightness, in contrast to the weaker tally of 270 nits with the Nexus 6. Android 5.0 Lollipop in the Nexus 6 is that step forward for Google, but don't count out the TouchWiz and its insane arsenal of features over in the S5. Even though it's technically an older build of Android, the customizations that Samsung has done also enhances the experience appropriately for something like a phablet. Lollipop, however, sports a better layout and presentation than TouchWiz, thanks partly to material design. It just has that modern touch that catches our attention, and on top of that, it comes with several new features that continue to expand Android's solid functionality. There's just more snappiness with the Nexus 6's performance, which is attributed to its newer Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 chip. Not to mention, the optimizations with Android 5.0 Lollipop also contribute to its smoother operation. While the Galaxy S5's Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor is still pretty great at handling all sorts of tasks, but it can't match the Nexus 6's finesse. From its dual front-firing speakers to the sheer size of its display, the Nexus 6 is an absolute joy for the multimedia consumption experience. Of course, it's the ideal thing for things like surfing the web, watching videos, and listening to music. Its speakers, in fact, delivers a potent 75 decibels of power, though it's kind of light on the bass. In contrast, the Galaxy S5 impressively puts out a stronger output of 81 decibels, which is accompanied with a slightly deeper tone. Superficially, it's pretty tough to declare a winner between the Nexus 6's 13 megapixel camera and the Galaxy S5's 16 megapixel one, just because their qualities closely match one another. When it comes down to it, however, we'll give the slight advantage to the Galaxy S5. It's just able to produce just a smidgen more detail with its camera, and that's pretty much about it. Under low light, neither one really produces results that are dramatically better than the other. However, we will mention that the Galaxy S5 shots are somewhat brighter lit, at the expense of having the same soft details as the Nexus 6. Now, both handsets are equipped to shoot video in up to 4K resolution, so that's 3840 by 2160 pixels. Again, their qualities are very similar, with the exception that the continuous autofocus with the Nexus 6 isn't as smooth in comparison to the Galaxy S5. Neither one really impresses us with call quality, but at the very least, we can handle conversations with some ease. They exhibit their own pleasant qualities, such as the static tones through the Nexus 6's earpiece and the muffled sound of the Galaxy S5. Battery life isn't an issue with them, but we get a little bit more out of the Nexus 6. Checking out their performances in our own battery benchmark test reveals results that aren't all that surprising, as the Nexus 6 achieves a slightly higher mark of 7 hours and 53 minutes thanks to its higher capacity battery, whereas the Galaxy S5 isn't too far behind at 7 hours and 38 minutes. Being new to the scene, there are several reasons why the Nexus 6 stands out more profoundly than its rival in the Galaxy S5, like its cutting-edge hardware, future-proof status, and stock Android 5.0 Lollipop experience. We still can't count out the Galaxy S5 since it manages to deliver a solid package that's still capable of contending with newer devices like the Nexus 6. In some cases, you can snag the S5 for as low as free, which is a lot easier to swallow than the Nexus 6's $200 and up on contract costs. And now if that's not a route you wish to pursue, choosing instead to go somewhere like the outright cost, then it makes more sense to go with the Nexus 6. That's because both handsets are slapped with the same $650 outright cost. For the money, you're getting a newer and better spec smartphone, which of course also has the distinct privilege of being the first smartphone to run Android 5.0 Lollipop.